Hi guys, Steve Dean for Titanium Functional Movements in association with Functional Patterns. For today's video tutorial, I'd like to run you through a myofascial release technique for your Tensor Fascia Latae, or TFL as it's known for short. The TFL originates on your iliac crest and inserts into your iliotibial tract or IT band. So basically at the very front portion of your hip. The implications to when this muscle gets restrictive, tight and short, it can leverage your pelvis into the anterior tilt, causing excessive sway into your lower portions of your back, your lumbar spine, or it can actually pull you into an anterior shift where your hips basically are now off center and sitting in front of your chest. So this will then lead to an inhibitory function for your gluteus max, its opposing muscle group on the opposite side, from performing its primary function of hip extension. The tools that we're going to use for the release is a hockey ball or lacrosse ball. If this is the first time that you've done this release, because of the nature of where it's placed, you may want to regress to a tennis ball. You'll find it a little bit more forgiving. But eventually you want to progress to the likes of a hockey ball or a lacrosse ball, because if you imagine you may have 10 layers within that particular fascial network, the tennis ball will probably get to the top 4 or 5, so the superficial layers, but your problem may reside deeper rooted than this, so layers 7, 8, 9, and the only thing that's going to get there is something a little bit more durable. Okay, so we need to take ourselves to the floor. Okay guys, so when you get to the floor, got your hockey ball in place, I want you to feel around the front of your hip, feeling for basically a protruding bone from your hip, and from there you need to chase down 3 fingers below, and then place your hockey ball just below the 3 fingers and go slightly lateral onto the leg. We're going to straighten out the right leg because that's the release that we're going to try and achieve. So keeping hold of the ball while you trap it in towards the floor. Again, make sure that the floor is substantial. Using especially the harder implement, you don't want to do it onto a laminate floor, for example. And if you have too much of a cushioned floor, you might find that will push into the cushion floor too much and maybe not get the truest release of what you might want to achieve. This floor is a cushioned floor, but it is quite durable. So trapping the ball into place, making sure it's not going to slip. I'm going to straighten out my leg on the right leg. I'm going to place my right arm out, and I'm going to aim to be able to lie down into a comfortable position, feeling for the trigger points as I go. And you'll notice I'm going more on the lateral portion rather than being what you do for maybe the rectus femoris release, as in going over the very front. So bring it out slightly lateral. You can place this hand down for support, bring your left leg forward for support, and then you just want to try and leverage your pelvis underneath. This is then going to form a little bit of a mild stretch into the muscle, and then just focus on breathing naturally and try not to hold your breath. That will cause a restriction in itself, and it will make you go quite tense. The tenser you are, the less chance you've got of releasing this muscle tissue. Taking a few deep breaths. That's going to allow in this instance, the hockey ball to penetrate that little bit deeper into the muscle tissue. You can do small movements, as you can see, just to help break up the fibers and remove any adhesions. Probably give that 3 to 5 minutes and then change onto your opposing side. If it is your first time doing this, again, err on the side of caution for the length of time that you do the release. But 3 to 5 minutes normally is suffice until the initial pain that you may feel starts to ease. So from that position then, we've broken up the adhesions, we've released some fibers. So now we want to lengthen those fibers. So a nice easy stretch while you remove yourself from the floor will be to go into a staggered stance, into like a deep lunge position. If you raise the opposite arm to the leading leg up I'm going to, if you notice my lower back might be swayed, don't excessively lean forward like this. Just keep your hips underneath your shoulders. If you tuck your bum, your hips under, you should immediately feel a nice stretch going on into the hip flexor itself. And then a little addition to this, if you elevate the rib cage, decompressing the spine, and then slowly rotate the upper torso, so turning your ribs in towards the leading leg. Again, I find this to be a more efficient release in itself. Okay guys, I hope you found this video tutorial useful. Perform your myofascial release a couple of times a week at least, especially in the early stages of your program. You're going to find it will remove a lot of restrictions, it will make you more mobile, it will help to leverage your joints back into a more neutral alignment and promote better function out of the muscles that are currently being inhibited by the restriction being present. This is Steve Dean from Titanium Functional Movements, reminding you to release intentionally and not habitually. Take care, guys.